In 1973, one small film gave the world its greatest martial arts hero, and 6 days later shocked the planet with tragedy. My name is David, and today I take you deep inside the real lives, heartbreaks, and secrets of the Enter the Dragon cast. Look closely in Enter the Dragon, because some future action legends were hidden inside the fight scenes before they became world famous. At the end of the video, I will show you the hidden names most viewers never noticed. Please hit subscribe right now. Angela Mao Sulin. Her real name is Mao Fu-ching, born in the year 1950 in Taiwan, and she played Sulin, the tragic sister of Bruce Lee who ends her own life to escape capture by Han's men. Long before this film, she was already crowned the Lady Kung Fu of Hong Kong cinema after brutal Peking opera training that started when she was only 5 years old. And Golden Harvest cast her because they needed a true fighter who could stand next to Bruce Lee without a stunt double. Her flashback scene became one of the most emotional moments in the entire movie, remembered for its raw pain and fierce dignity that no acting class could ever teach. Behind the scenes, she suffered years of body punishment, broken bones, and 16-hour shooting days that left her lonely and far away from her family, while Hollywood typecast her forever as a martial arts symbol. After starring in more than 30 hits like Hapkido and When Taekwondo Strikes, she quietly walked away from cinema in the early 1990s, moved to Queens in New York, and opened a small Chinese restaurant called Nice Restaurant, where she served noodles to customers who had no idea a legend stood in the kitchen. She is alive today in her mid-70s, living privately with her family in New York, and her legacy still inspires stars like Michelle Yeoh, proving the fierce warrior on screen was really a gentle mother who chose peace over fame. Betty Chung Mei Ling. Born in Shanghai and raised in Hong Kong in the late 1940s, Betty Chung played Mei Ling, the brave undercover agent who helps Bruce Lee gather secrets on Han's deadly island. Years before this role, she was already a household name across Asia as one of the celebrated 4 golden flowers of Hong Kong pop music, singing sold-out shows and recording hit records for the biggest labels of that era. She recorded songs in Mandarin, Cantonese, and English, making her one of the first true crossover Asian pop stars of her generation. Producers cast her because they wanted a familiar Chinese face who could also speak fluent English, and her calm screen presence gave the film its most quietly heroic character, though her limited fight scenes meant many Western viewers never learned who she truly was. Behind the scenes, she balanced 2 demanding careers at once, flying between concert stages and film sets while facing exhaustion, industry pressure, and the loneliness of constant travel. Reports from her closest friends say she often cried in her hotel room after long shooting nights because she missed her mother back in Hong Kong. After Enter the Dragon, her acting slowed as she chose family life over stardom, and by the late 1970s, she had moved to London with her husband, leaving both music and movies behind for a quiet British suburb life, far from the flashing cameras of Kowloon. Her husband was reportedly a wealthy Hong Kong businessman, and together they raised their children far from any camera or tabloid attention. She avoided interviews, conventions, and reunions for decades, and public sightings became almost impossible over the years. Fan clubs across Japan and Malaysia still write letters to her old management company every year, hoping for one final signed photograph. She is believed to be alive today, in her late 70s, living privately in England, and her legacy is that of a shining talent who walked away at the peak of her fame, choosing love and calm over the loud lights of Hong Kong stardom. Bolo Yeung, Bolo. His real name is Yang She, born on July 3, 1946 in Guangzhou, China, and he played Bolo, the terrifying muscle-bound enforcer who works for Han and snaps a guard's neck in one of the film's most shocking moments. Before acting, he swam across shark-filled waters from mainland China to Hong Kong for freedom, then rose to fame by winning the Mr. Hong Kong bodybuilding title multiple times, a rare achievement that caught the eye of Bruce Lee himself, who personally recruited him for this role. His swim to freedom took over 10 hours through dangerous ocean currents, and he arrived in Hong Kong with almost nothing but the clothes on his back. His character needed no dialogue because his 260-pound frame did all the talking. and his silent menace made him one of the most photographed villains of the entire 1970s decade. Behind the scenes, he was the exact opposite of his image, a gentle vegetarian who loved painting, calligraphy, and quiet meals with his family, though the industry kept typecasting him as the muscle-bound heavy for the next 2 decades of his career. He held the Mr. Hong Kong title for 10 straight years, a record that has never been broken by any other bodybuilder in that region. His true global comeback arrived in 1988 when he played Chong Li in Bloodsport opposite Jean-Claude Van Damme, a role that made him a household name to a whole new generation of teenage action fans. He often turned down villain roles in his later years because he wanted younger fans to see him as a kind grandfather, not a scary monster. He is alive today, reported to be in his late 70s, living quietly with his family in Southern California. And his legacy is that of the smiling giant who scared millions on screen while raising children and painting flowers at home. He still occasionally shares photos on social media, showing him smiling with fans who travel from around the world just to shake his hand. Which movie villain from the 1970s scared you the most as a child, and do you still remember the exact scene that gave you nightmares? Please share below. Robert Wall O'Hara. His real name is Robert A. Wall, born on September 22, 1939 in San Jose, California, and he played O'Hara, the ruthless bodyguard responsible for the death of Bruce Lee's sister and the target of Lee's coldest revenge in the entire film. Before the movie, he was already a real-world karate champion who had opened his first martial arts school by the age of 26, taught alongside Chuck Norris, and personally trained under Bruce Lee in Los Angeles for many years. He served in the United States Air Force before opening his first dojo and often credited military discipline for his fighting style. Bruce Lee cast him because he wanted a real fighter and not an actor pretending, and during filming, Wall was accidentally cut by a real broken bottle in the courtyard scene, leaving a scar he carried proudly for the rest of his life. Behind the camera, he suffered from long hours, sweltering Hong Kong heat, and the emotional weight of losing his dear mentor Bruce Lee only weeks after production wrapped. He often said that Bruce Lee's death felt like losing a brother, not just a co-star, and he cried openly at the private memorial in Hong Kong. After the film, he continued acting in projects like The Way of the Dragon and Game of Death, then quietly built a fortune in California real estate that let him retire wealthy, comfortable, and completely free from Hollywood politics. He was inducted into the Black Belt Hall of Fame in 1976 and remained one of the most respected martial artists in America for over 4 decades. His personal life was steady with a long marriage and family, and he became a respected voice at martial arts conventions in his later decades. His son later followed him into martial arts, keeping the family legacy strong even after his passing. He passed away on January 30th, 2022 at the age of 82, remembered as the last major villain of the film, a family man, a businessman, and a true student of Bruce Lee whose scar was earned in front of the camera and whose kindness off camera surprised everyone. Anna Capri, Tanya. Her real name is Anna Marie Nanasi, born on July 6, 1944 in Budapest, Hungary, and she played Tanya, the beautiful hostess who offers the fighters companionship on Hans Island and shares a rare tender moment with the character Roper. Her family escaped war-torn Europe when she was still a child. And by her teenage years, she was already working steadily on American television shows like Bonanza, Gunsmoke, and The Wild Wild West, hoping to become the next great Hollywood leading lady. Her family arrived in America with almost no money and settled in a small immigrant neighborhood where young Anna learned English by watching classic movies alone. Producers cast her for Enter the Dragon because they wanted a European face with exotic beauty and real acting range, and her gentle scenes brought a strange warmth to a film otherwise filled with violence and fear. Behind the fame, she battled loneliness, difficult relationships, and the harsh reality that Hollywood offered fewer roles to women once they crossed the age of 30. And by the late 1970s, her career had almost completely disappeared from the screen. She was married and divorced more than once, and close friends said she often blamed Hollywood for stealing her chance at real happiness and a peaceful family life. She spent her later years quietly out of the spotlight, working small jobs and staying close to a small circle of friends in Los Angeles. And she was never invited back for the glamorous reunions others enjoyed. Old fans who tracked her down in the 2000s were shocked to find her living in a modest apartment, far from the glittering lifestyle she once knew. In August of 2010, a devastating car accident in Los Angeles left her in a coma for over a week and shattered her family. Her sister stayed by her hospital bedside every day, praying for a miracle that sadly never came. She passed away on August 19, 2010, at the age of 66 from her accident injuries, and her legacy remains that of a glamorous star whose Hollywood dream faded far too soon, a painful reminder that on-screen beauty rarely protects anyone from real-world heartbreak. Shikin Han, his real name is Shek-Wing Chung, born on January 1, 1913 in Panyu, Guangdong, China, and he played Han, the cold-hearted crime lord with the iron claw hand who runs the Deadly Island tournament and stands as one of the most iconic villains in cinema history. Before this film, he was already a legendary Hong Kong screen villain with over 300 movies to his name, trained in Cantonese opera and famous for playing the arch-enemy of Wong Fei, hung in dozens of classic kung fu films across 3 straight decades. He first started performing on stage at the age of 15, using his savings to pay for his own opera costumes and makeup. Producers cast him because they needed a face Asian audiences already feared, and though he could not speak English, his terrifying stare needed no translation, and his voice was dubbed for the international release. Behind the scenes, he suffered from painful skin allergies caused by the heavy villain makeup, long night shoots, and the physical strain of complex fight choreography at nearly 60 years of age. He often used homemade herbal creams passed down from his grandmother to soothe his skin between shooting days. After the film, he quietly retired from acting in the late 1970s and turned to Chinese painting, becoming a respected artist who lived a peaceful family life surrounded by his grandchildren, brushes, and canvases in a modest Hong Kong home. His paintings later sold at private auctions in Hong Kong for thousands of dollars, though he refused to profit publicly from his fame. He avoided fame in his final decades and rarely spoke about the film that made him a worldwide legend. He once told a family friend that he was surprised anyone still remembered him after so many years, calling himself just an old actor from a small village. He passed away on June 3, 2009, at the incredible age of 96, remembered as the eternal screen villain who was in real life a gentle grandfather, calm painter, and quiet man far removed from the monster he played so unforgettably. Which classic movie villain from the 1970s do you believe will never be topped no matter how many years pass? Please tell us in the comments below. Jim Kelly Williams. His real name is James Milton Kelly, born on May 5, 1946 in Paris, Kentucky, and he played Williams, the smooth-talking African-American karate champion whose fearless charm made him the coolest man on the entire island tournament. Before Hollywood, he had already won the International Middleweight Karate Championship in the year 1971. Opened his own dojo in Los Angeles, and turned down a college football scholarship because he refused to accept the racism he faced from his own team and coach. He grew up in a small Kentucky town where he faced racism from a very young age, but his mother always taught him to walk with pride and never bow his head. Producers cast him only after Rocky and Tarkington backed out at the last minute. And Bruce Lee personally approved him because he wanted a real champion who could also carry star power in front of the camera. Behind the camera, he faced constant industry racism, was paid far less than his white co-stars, and watched his post-film career hit walls that had nothing to do with his talent, as Hollywood slowly closed doors on black action stars by the early 1980s. He was reportedly paid only $7,000 for his role in Enter the Dragon, while other co-stars received much larger paychecks. He walked away from acting with dignity and reinvented himself as a professional tennis player, competing on the senior circuit and coaching young players in Southern California for the next 20 years of his life. He often gave free tennis lessons to inner-city children, believing that sport could save young lives the same way martial arts had once saved his own. He was known as a proud, calm, and deeply spiritual man who never chased the spotlight or asked Hollywood for a second chance. In his final years, he was quietly hailed as a pioneer by young black filmmakers who credited him for opening doors they now walked through freely. He passed away on June 29, 2013, at the age of 67 from cancer, and his legacy is unforgettable as the first true African-American martial arts movie star. A man who chose the tennis court over Hollywood and never once looked back with regret. Bruce Lee, his real name is Lee Jun Fan, born on November 27, 1940 in San Francisco, California, and he played Lee, the calm, unbeatable Shaolin warrior whose lightning speed and iron discipline made this film the birth of modern martial arts cinema across the entire world. Before this movie, he was already a child star of over 20 Hong Kong films, then rose in America as Kato in The Green Hornet, faced years of Hollywood racism and rejection, invented his own martial art called Jeet Kune Do, and finally became a superstar in Asia through The Big Boss, Fist of Fury, and Way of the Dragon. He was born in the Year of the Dragon, and in the Hour of the Dragon, a rare Chinese astrological sign his mother believed marked him for greatness from birth. Warner Brothers cast him after years of rejection, giving him full creative control and the American breakthrough he had begged for his entire adult life. Behind the camera, he trained obsessively, wrote deep philosophy in his journals, suffered from chronic back pain caused by an old spinal injury, and pushed his body far beyond safe human limits during the sweltering Hong Kong summer shoot. He reportedly lost over 20 pounds during the filming, dropping to a shockingly lean body weight because he refused to slow down for even a single day. On July 20th, 1973, only 6 days before Enter the Dragon opened in cinemas worldwide, he collapsed at a friend's apartment in Hong Kong and died from cerebral edema linked to a reaction from a common painkiller. His funeral in Hong Kong drew over 25,000 grieving fans, and a second private ceremony was held in Seattle, where his family finally laid him to rest. He left behind his wife Linda, his son Brandon, his daughter Shannon, and millions of grieving fans across every continent. His son Brandon tragically also died young in the year 1993 on a movie set, deepening the pain of the Lee family legacy across 2 generations. He passed away at the tragic age of 32. And his legacy remains untouchable as the greatest martial artist ever filmed. A philosopher, husband, father, and dreamer whose 5 words still echo across generations. The hidden future legends in the movie. Enter the Dragon was not only important because of Bruce Lee, it also became connected to several future martial arts stars through stunt and fight work. Names linked to the film include Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, Yuen Biao, and Yuen Hua. That makes the movie feel even bigger today, because it captured a moment before many martial arts performers became legends of their own. 1 legendary film, 1 unforgettable cast, and over 5 decades of love, loss, courage, and quiet heartbreak behind every smile. Enter the Dragon still keeps every single one of them alive on screen forever. If this journey touched your heart, please subscribe right now and never miss another classic cast retrospective.